Hey guys, I'm Bobby Childs from Adventures in Whiskey. Thanks so much for joining me. So I thought we'd take a look at a couple of Jim Beam bourbons today. We're going to look at Black Label and Jim Beam Distiller's Cut, their new edition. Black Label is a step above the standard Jim Beam White Label. This one is extra aged. It used to be 8 years old. No age statement now. The master distiller for Jim Beam, Fred No, was on one of the late night shows a while back and mentioned this is about 5 or 6 years old. 43%, so 86 proof. Really good stuff, as you can tell by the amount left in the bottle. Then we have the brand new Distiller's Cut. This is, again, 5 to 6 years old. 100 proof versus 86 proof, so 50% alcohol. And the big thing about Distiller's Cut is that it is non-chill filtered. What does that mean? Most distilleries, when they go to, right before bottling, they'll chill their whiskey down, which will solidify a lot of fatty acids. They'll run that whiskey through a very fine screen, which will capture the fatty acids, and they'll bottle it. What a lot of distilleries say that does, the reason for it is that when you add ice or water to your whiskey, it doesn't cloud up. So it's strictly an appearance thing. The other hand, a lot of people are saying that those fatty acids contribute to mouthfeel and flavor. They say it makes your whiskey feel a little richer, a little more flavorful. There are people in both camps. What do you think about non-chill filtering? Comment below, let me know what you think. So let's sort of dive in and take a look at the difference. Other than proof, we won't really comment too much on proof because there's a big difference here. But flavor-wise, what does non-chill filtering bring to the table versus a standard chill filtered Jim Beam Black? And it's been a while since I've had Jim Beam Black, just to let you know. It's a lot more oakier than I remember. You get your sweet sort of like caramel or toffee notes. It's a little darker than the Jim Beam White. It's definitely there. I don't smell too much vanilla, which is another big Jim Beam thing. Booker's is full of vanilla. But the oak is definitely there. Now let's give Jim Beam Distiller's Cut, which, again, I don't know if this is a yearly thing or a one and done kind of thing. It's a lot more robust, obviously. The proof has a lot to do with that. This comes across as a lot fruitier. This is more, the Jim Beam Black is a lot more caramel, oak driven. The Jim Beam Distiller's Cut, not only does it have a lot of caramel and oak, the vanilla comes through, as does some sort of like red fruit. It's really nice. Let's take a sip. Cheers. One more sip. This is really good. It's really good. There's a lot of those big caramel notes. They sort of envelop your mouth. There's a touch of oak coming in towards the back of the palate. Sort of dries things up a touch. There's a little bit of spice. Like I mentioned on the nose, the taste of this, it gives you a little bit more overall, a little darker character than like a standard Jim Beam White. Jim Beam White comparatively is very thin. It lacks the richness that Jim Beam Black has. So an extra year or two, or however long they age it, it makes a big difference. If I were you, $25 well spent. And notice this is the, by the way, this is the new style bottle for Jim Beam. It's a little bit squatter. This is the old bottle. You won't find this anymore. Let's take a look at the Distiller's Cut. Like I mentioned before, a lot fruitier in the nose. It's a lot more lively. And again, I know I mentioned I won't factor proofing, but I lied. I can't help it. It's a lot livelier. It's got a bit more bite in the beginning. It's about as rich in flavor, or as dark in flavor. Let me correct myself. As Jim Beam Black, it's more vivacious. It's just livelier. The caramel notes seem a lot richer. It's not as oak driven as Jim Beam Black. So I'm wondering where they're pulling barrels from, what part of the warehouses most of the barrels are coming from for both of these releases. And I think they only announced that for Booker's. Booker's usually is a center cut of the warehouses, which gives it its unique profile. I think Jim Beam probably pulls from everywhere. Almost comes across as a cherry pie. It's really, really good. The finish on Distiller's Cut is a little bit sweeter than the finish on Jim Beam Black. Jim Beam Black is a touch drier. Again, it's that astringent oak character. Not that it's a big oak bomb by any stretch of the imagination. Just between the two. A little spicier finish on this one too. So price wise, Jim Beam Black, 25 bucks ish, 26 bucks. Jim Beam Distiller's Cut, $23. In fact, here in Louisiana, New Orleans, there's a retailer that sells the Jim Beam Distiller's Cut for about $16.99. You really can't beat it. If you like the Jim Beam flavor profile, by all means, get a bottle of Distiller's Cut. It might be the best value in bourbon in 2017, 2018. I say 2018, that's when I first tasted it. On the market right now, let's correct it to that. Jim Beam Black is no slouch either. Jim Beam Black is a great everyday bourbon. Distiller's Cut, I would go buy a case of this stuff tomorrow. It's really good. So, if you've had either of these, let me know what you think below. Please comment. If you like what you see, please subscribe. I'll see you next time. Cheers.